Most of my videos help you look sharper, better outfits, better fit, better presence. This one is different, but if I'm being honest, it might matter even more. Because after 40, you start to realize something nobody warned you about. Your style isn't just built from the neck down, it's built from the neck up. Your habits, your clarity, your energy, they all show up before your clothes ever do. And there are a few things men keep doing in their 40s, simply because they've always done them, not realizing how much those habits drain their time, dull their confidence, and slow down the second chapter they're trying to build. This isn't a do this, not that video. I'm not here to lecture you or tell you how to live. I respect men too much for that, especially men our age. Think of this as a recalibration, a clean look at what actually deserves your time and what no longer earns it. So today we're breaking down 8 things that quietly become a waste of time after 40, and the smarter, more powerful upgrades that give you back your focus, your peace, and your momentum. Small shifts, high return. Let's get into it. 1. Watching the news. There's a point in every man's life, usually sometime in his 40s, when he realizes his peace is worth more than being plugged into every headline. Not because he's avoiding reality, but because he finally understands what the news has become. The news today isn't a public service, it's a product. And the product is fear, outrage, and worst-case scenarios presented as daily life. Most men don't notice how heavy this feels until they step back from it. You wake up tense, go to sleep wired, and spend the hours in between carrying problems you can't influence and emotions you didn't choose. It takes space in your mind that should be going toward the things that actually make your life better. After 40, your energy becomes something you can't hand out cheaply. Your time is more selective. Your emotional bandwidth is smaller by design, not because you're weaker, but because you're smarter with where you place your attention. And here's the part most men don't realize. If something truly urgent happens, you'll hear about it anyway. The signal always finds you. It's the noise that weighs you down. The upgrade is simple and surprisingly powerful. Replace daily news cycles with one curated weekly update. Choose long-form conversations over emotional headlines. Let your mind breathe again. First step, delete the news apps from your phone, just for a week. See what changes. When men make this shift, their mornings get quieter. Their mood evens out. They think more clearly, sleep better, and feel less pulled in 1,000 directions. And the best part? They suddenly have more attention available for the things that actually matter. Their work, their health, their relationships, their goals, their presence. You don't disconnect from the world, you just stop letting it live in your head. That last one was about protecting your mind, but peace doesn't last long if you're still letting strangers pull you into battles that don't matter. 2. Arguing or replying to negative comments online. There's something every man eventually figures out, usually after 40, and it's this. The moment you argue with strangers online, you've already lost. Not because you're wrong, but because you traded your peace for a conversation that has zero impact on your actual life. Most negativity online isn't real discussion, it's bait. It's people who want attention, not truth. And the second you reply, you've given them exactly what they came for. But here's the subtle thing. Men don't engage because they're angry. They engage because it feels like defending themselves, or defending logic, or defending common sense. It feels righteous, but it's not. It's training. When you're in your 20s, you can lose an hour arguing online and bounce back like nothing happened. In your 40s, every hour of energy matters. Every drop of attention has weight, and you can't hand that out to random accounts whose names you won't remember and whose opinions won't change. The shift isn't about being passive, it's about being intentional. Strong men choose silence not because they can't win, but because the game isn't worth playing. You don't have to answer every provocation. You don't have to correct every bad take. You don't have to set the record straight. When you stop engaging, something changes, your mood steadies, your mental space opens up, your day becomes yours again instead of being shaped by strangers behind screens. Mute, block, ignore. Not out of weakness, but out of respect for your energy. Once you start protecting your attention like this, you'll notice how much clearer your thoughts become and how much more power you have for the things that actually matter offline. Your work, your health, your family, your growth. No man looks back and wishes he spent more time debating with anonymous profiles. Not one. That last one showed how arguments steal your energy, but the biggest thief of all is the scroll you don't even notice you're doing. 3. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling isn't a modern problem, it's a modern escape. Most men don't scroll because they're fascinated. They scroll because they're tired, bored, or avoiding something real. You pick up your phone for just a second, and suddenly 20 minutes disappear. Not because the content was meaningful, but because the apps are engineered to keep you there. Every swipe is a small dopamine drip. Every clip is designed to nudge you into the next one. And after 40, that hits differently. You notice the fog it puts in your head. You feel the attention slip. You see how easy it is to lose the moments where you could have moved your day forward. The real issue isn't the time lost, though that adds up. It's the energy cost. Doom scrolling leaves you mentally cluttered and emotionally scattered in a way that's hard to shake. You close the app feeling worse than when you opened it. Less focused, less present, less grounded. Here's the shift that actually works. You stop treating your phone like a companion and start treating it like a tool. Set a simple 10-minute limit. Try this. Turn your screen grayscale for 24 hours. It instantly kills the urge to scroll. You'll be shocked how much less appealing everything becomes. Keep your phone in another room after 8 p.m. and watch how quickly your mind resets. Men who do this always say the same thing. They think more clearly. They sleep deeper. Their mornings feel calmer instead of chaotic. And their focus sharpens in a way that feels like getting a part of themselves back. You don't have to quit technology. You just stop letting it run you. Doom scrolling feels harmless in the moment. But when you're building your second chapter, your attention is one of the most valuable things you own. Protect it like it matters, because it does. That last one was about taking your attention back, but once you do, you start to realize how much of it you were wasting on comparisons that never moved your life forward. 4. Competing with other people. One of the quietest ways men drain their energy after 40 is by comparing themselves to people they were never meant to compete with in the first place. It happens subtly. A guy your age buys something new, gets promoted, hits a milestone, and suddenly you feel behind. Not because you actually want his life, but because comparison tricks your brain into thinking you should be matching him step for step. But here's the truth: most men learn later than they should. You're not running the same race as anyone else. Different priorities, different responsibilities, different history, different goals. Comparing yourself to another man's highlight reel is like comparing your real life to someone else's movie trailer. It's not the same universe. The part that stings is that comparison doesn't motivate men over 40 the way it does younger guys. In your 20s, competition can push you. In your 40s, it usually exhausts you. It takes your focus off what actually matters and puts it on things you don't even deeply care about. The upgrade here is simple but powerful. Stop competing outward. Start competing inward. Track 3 personal metrics that reflect your life: your strength, your sleep, your income, your consistency, your habits, your health. When the competition becomes you versus your last week, something shifts. You feel momentum again. You feel progress again. And it comes from a place that's sustainable, not stressful. Men who make this shift always say the same thing. The pressure drops, the confidence rises, the direction becomes clearer. Because when you stop comparing your path to someone else's, you finally get to walk your own with purpose, not panic. You're not behind. You're not late. You're not competing. You're building. And that's a far stronger position to live from. By the way, if you're getting value from this so far, hit subscribe. It helps more men find videos like this and keeps them coming. That last one was about dropping the wrong race, but the next drain shows up in all the tiny commitments you make without even wanting to. 5. Doing things out of obligation. One of the biggest energy leaks for men after 40 isn't work, stress, or aging. It's obligation. Not responsibility, not duty. Obligation. The subtle pressure to say yes to things you don't want to do, don't have time for, and don't benefit from, just to keep the peace or avoid disappointing someone. In your 20s and 30s, you can get away with it. You've got the bandwidth, you've got the flexibility, you can say yes to everything and recover. But when you hit your 40s, obligation starts costing more than you realize. It eats into your time. It chips away at your patience. It fills your schedule with commitments that leave you feeling drained instead of fulfilled. And it's never the big obligations that wear you down, it's the small ones. The favors you didn't want to agree to, the social events you didn't actually want to attend, the "I guess I should" moments that pile up until you're living a life designed by other people's expectations instead of your own priorities. The shift isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming selective. A man with boundaries isn't rude. He's clear. A simple rule that works for a lot of men. If your first instinct is hesitation, the answer is no. Not because you don't care, but because you respect your own time enough to protect it. Try this once and you'll see the difference. Create a clean, polite no message you can use whenever you need it. Something respectful, simple, and firm. You'll be surprised how easy it becomes once you give yourself permission. And here's the payoff. When you stop saying yes out of obligation, the things you do say yes to start meaning more. You say yes by choice, not by default. Your time feels intentional, your schedule feels lighter, your life feels more like your own. A strong second chapter isn't built on more effort, it's built on better choices. Let this be one of them. That last one was about reclaiming your time, but you can't do that fully if you're still giving access to people who drain you every time you pick up the phone. 6. Tolerating energy drainers. There's a simple truth most men don't realize until their 40s. Some people aren't bad for you, they're just expensive. Expensive in time, expensive in emotional bandwidth, expensive in how you feel after spending time around them. And here's the part nobody says out loud. You don't outgrow people because you're better than them. You outgrow them because you finally understand the cost. When you're younger, you can handle these relationships. You've got the capacity, you can absorb the drama, the complaining, the chaos, the inconsistency. You shake it off and move on. But after 40, your energy becomes something you can't waste. Your patience tightens, your tolerance for nonsense gets smaller. and your need for peace becomes non-negotiable. Energy drainers come in all forms: the friend who only calls to unload, the coworker who thrives on negativity, the relative who brings stress to every conversation, the person you've known forever but who leaves you feeling worse every time you see them. Cutting people off isn't the answer. That's dramatic, and it usually backfires. What works is access. You simply adjust the distance. You stop giving certain people front row seats in your life. You move them a few rows back, respectfully, quietly, without conflict. Less time, less emotional investment, less obligation, just enough space for you to breathe again. Men who do this always notice the same thing. Their stress drops, their sleep improves, their focus returns, their confidence comes back. Because when your environment is calmer, you become calmer. When the noise decreases, direction increases. And when your circle gets cleaner, your life gets simpler. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about protecting the energy you need to build the second chapter of your life, the one with more clarity, more strength, and more purpose. That last one was about clearing your circle, but once you do, the truth about people becomes impossible to ignore. 7. Expecting people to change. One of the hardest lessons men learn, usually later than they'd like, is that people don't change because you want them to. They change because they want to, and the time between those two things can be years or never. After 40, this becomes clearer. You've lived enough life to see patterns, you've given enough second chances, you've watched enough people promise improvement, but deliver the same behavior over and over, and at some point you realize something simple but freeing. Patterns tell you everything, promises tell you nothing. This isn't about becoming cynical, it's about being realistic, because waiting for someone to magically become more responsible, more consistent, more honest, more mature, that waiting costs you time, energy, and emotional space you don't get back. Men often stay stuck because they're loyal to someone's potential, what they could be, what they might become, what they should be by now. But life gets a lot simpler when you accept who someone actually is instead of who you wish they were. Acceptance doesn't mean approval, it means clarity. The upgrade here isn't dramatic, it's quiet and grown up. Adjust your expectations. Match them to the evidence, not the hope. Interact with people based on their real patterns, not their ideal version. And something interesting happens when men do this. Their relationships get calmer, their boundaries get clearer, their stress drops. There's no more disappointment, no more waiting, no more emotional tug of war, just clean understanding. You stop trying to rewrite someone else's script and start focusing on your own. And that shift gives you back a huge amount of mental space, space you can use for the people who do show up, who are consistent, who do grow. You don't lose anything by accepting the truth. You gain your time back. That last one was about accepting reality, and once you do that, you stop wasting hours on distractions that never deserved your time in the first place. 8. Watching sports for hours. This one stings a little, and it's supposed to, because watching full sports games is one of the biggest time drains for men over 40, and the return on that time is close to zero. A 3 or 4 hour game gives you nothing you can't get from a 5-minute highlight reel. Same score, same plays, same excitement condensed into a fraction of the time. And if we're being honest, most regular season games don't matter anyway. The only ones worth watching live are the big moments. The Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, the World Cup, or maybe your team's playoff run. Everything else is just background noise posing as entertainment. And the uncomfortable truth? This is nothing new. The Romans called it bread and circus. Distract the crowds with spectacle so they stay passive. Modern leagues do the same thing. Non-stop games, manufactured rivalries, endless storylines, all designed to keep men invested, emotional, and seated while their time vanishes. And here's the part men rarely admit. Teams aren't loyal, players move, coaches get fired, franchises relocate. At the end of the day, most men are cheering for a set of colors, not a legacy. Meanwhile, your time, your most valuable currency after 40, keeps disappearing. And if we're talking style, wearing a sports jersey with another man's name on your back, especially a man half your age, isn't a good look. So here's the upgrade. Watch the highlights. Skip the hours of passive couch time. Reinvest that energy into your fitness, your style, your relationships, your income, and your self-respect. You don't have to quit sports. Just stop letting them steal the hours you need to build the life you want. That last one was about getting your hours back. And when you stack all these shifts together, you start to see the man you're becoming instead of the habits you're outgrowing. When you cut these habits, life doesn't just get quieter, it gets clearer. You notice the difference in how you think, how you sleep, how you carry yourself. Your standards rise without you having to force them. And the things that used to drain you start losing their power. That's what a refined second chapter looks like. Not perfection, not pretending. Just a man who's more intentional with his time, his energy, and his presence. Now, if that's the direction you're heading, more clarity, more strength, more style, stay with it. You're building something real, even if it doesn't look dramatic on the surface. Drop a comment and tell me which one you're quitting this week. I read all of them and I reply where I can. And when you're ready for the next step, it's simple. Watch the next video on your screen. It's the best continuation of this one, and the place where your momentum keeps going.